You know, there's all sorts of penetrating the mind of everyone now. And I believe, like, this group thinking spreaded, mate. In the last 10 years, group thinking has just went right through society. Do you understand? Like, you used to have a few men's clubs here and there. You used to have them gangs, that gang mentality, that pack of wolf mentality. But now you've got women group thinking. You've got 10 different groups of women, all group thinking about different, and then you've got 100 group of men, different groups of men, all group thinking about a different ideology. Everyone's just caught up in a mess, mate. But it's dangerous, because you see all them group thinkers, they can all start thinking about the one topic in the future. Easy. Just led astray. And what you're witnessing with the children, in their minds, teamwork. So when you're in school, you're getting encouraged to participate in teamwork activities. And most of the things that you're doing in school is teamwork. Teams of 3, teams of 4, get two groups, get into this. And they're planting in your children's heads from an early age group thinking without you understanding it. I've told you this, why they do that now. Years ago they couldn't control us. Do you see how many civil unrest there was years ago? 80s, pure unrest all over the gaff, up and down the country. Why? Because everyone, the majority, was individually thinking. We were all thinking independently. Yeah, we're joining up with them, but you decide, okay, yeah, I fancy a bit of that, I'm going with it. You know, now the kids feel obliged to go with it. Whereas back in the day, we were choosing to go with it. And that's the difference now. So, they couldn't tackle you when you were all thinking individually. They couldn't, when you were still, your identity was intact, when you was that individual, that unique identity that only you possessed. They couldn't control us all when we were all thinking like that, because that's how we all was. So they knew that. They've looked at the psychological aspect of it with all these psychologists they've got round them to look at groups and how to control groups. They do all this without you understanding it. They've understood that for us to control the masses in the future, we need to have them group thinking. And within each group, if we have to, we'll place a leader. And this group will think the way this leader wants them to think. That makes sense? So when you get into this group thinking, you end up in this group on your street. You're 13, 14. There's a little gang of yous. You start being naughty. You start getting into a little bit of trouble after school and smashing a window or two, or getting chased, or getting here. You get yourself into a few situations. In them situations, one of yous will shine through as the one that's gamer, the one that's braver, the one that's taking more risk or giving more to the feds or like this. And naturally at 13, 14 in this gang, that kid that's doing that will elevate into the role of the main guy in this group. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Now after a few years, this kid's established himself as the gamest and he's leading the pack. And basically how this kid thinks is how this group of kids are going to think. How this kid dress, whatever music he listens to, wherever he goes, these kids are going to start following suit. They're going to start taking the identity of the group, and he's giving the identity to the group. This is teenage years. Right through all this, people are being identified. Who's risk, who's not. So now with all this group thinking that's going on, instead of having to challenge each individual thing, Look at the 26th of October, right? You've got group thinking en masse there. And they know the way you're thinking because they've placed a leader to lead you where they want to lead you to. That making sense? Yeah, so look. You know when you have a protest that's not authorised by the law, they can't do nothing. There's no police in place. There's no face recognition cameras in the streets that they've told you can go down. You're not being led astray. You're not being led into a corner. You're not being led into a dark place where you're not going to make a difference. The only protests that make a difference are the unofficial protests that just pop up in the middle of nowhere in thousands. The police can't control it and you get your message out there. On the 26th, I'm going to encourage you people to stay away. I'm like Hughes, I love this country. I want them gone, I want this to happen, I want that to happen, but I will not put myself at risk. And I suggest you don't neither. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're going to have this Tommy Robinson on the 26th. He will have negotiated with the authorities on numerous occasions up until the 26th. Right as we speak, the past month, 6 weeks, within the minute he's mentioned it, a few weeks before he's mentioned it, he's been in discussion with the local authorities in London. They have sat down for months and put plans in place. The authorities have looked at the requests of Tommy Robinson and his firm and said, okay, we've looked at your requests, we're going to grant 5 of them and we're not going to grant the other 5. And these are the 5 we're going to grant. And these are the restrictions and these are the controls and you better abide by them, otherwise it'll be shut down and you'll be arrested or blah blah blah. Do you understand? You will be allowed to hold this protest and you will be allowed to have this protest in London at this place at this time. You will have 2 hours. Your protest march will begin here. You will take this route, you will take these roads, you will take this junction and you will end up here to hold your main protest. They're told that by the police. They're told what route to take. They're told what time to take it. Think about it. Now if you've got Tommy Robinson, that the last time he held one of these things, you had a lot of loose cannons in communities just going out and causing mayhem, which went on to cause madness, didn't it? He just off for a week, didn't he? Off abroad, let everyone in this country go to... How many lads got put in jail on the back of his shouting? How many young men off our estates ended up in prison on the back of his ideology? On the back of his encouragements? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? 300, 400 lads landed in prison while he was over there on holiday, over the moon, him and his little army of racists. We're not racists. All that crowd, mate, you know, all that crowd, your James English, your Tommy Robinson, your Tough, that little baldy, they're all the same crowd, mate. All hateful divisionalists, all egotistic, coke sniffing rats, mate. It's what they are. What's the major claim to fame? What? Me dad used to drive a cray round. Off. What's the other Nuggets claim to fame? Oh, I was an EDL leader. Off. Do you understand? You just got gangs of helmets that are being funded, being sponsored, and being told what to do to influence yous and leave yous in. Stay away from them, lad. Yes, Katie. Stay away from them. The timing's wrong, completely wrong. Trust me on that. Mr. T's about. Mate, give it up, lad. Shut up, mate. You're calling yourself over a telly programme. You're coming in here acting hard, CJ. You nugget. I'll pull that mask off and slap your face all over the gaff. Won't even take your bike off you, they'll just put the tyres down, you little scumbag. Get out there and go and rob a bike off someone, you cunt. Yes, Steph's Lou. Looks boss, that. Chicken, potato and peas with wine, mushroom sauce. So they say. What about that car crash, mate, with them kids and then Darren? How many was in the car, mate? Yes, it's on. Julie Owen. No, there's a collision in London that's involved an unmarked police car. I thought it was the one yesterday with them 2 children in. It's not another one. How many accidents has been happening, eh? RTAs go up through the roof this time of year, you know, people. You need to be careful if you're driving. Even if you're careful driving, you need to be extra observant. Dale Rice saying sober October hard. Keep it up, lad. It's hard because, you know, you've got to realise you've got an addiction there, mate. That's why it's hard. Battle it, lad. And don't go and binge drink on the first of either. Too many, bro. I know Sean been talking about him for years, you know. I think about 3 years ago I started identifying it. I used to see kids running out into the street with headphones on. So I started screaming about it. And then a few years later, kids are getting bonneted by buses because they got headphones on and shit mad out there. When we were growing up, we got taught, stop, look and listen. Your kids don't get taught that, you know. Remember when you were in school and you used to like stop, look and listen when you got to the road, and you get taught the thing called, what was it called? Something called. Well, anyway, you'd get told the thing, wouldn't you? You get told like stop, look and listen. You know, all these safety guidelines that you can get. Green cross code, that's it, the green cross code. That's it, I'm a massage, exactly that. I don't think the kids get it no more, do they? Julie saying too many parents take their kids to school in the car so they are not taught road safety. Yeah, because there's monsters all over the gap, suspects all over the place waiting to harm your kids. I'm shocked sometimes, you know, when I'm going to the gym, I'm seeing young girls going to school and I'm just thinking to myself, how are you walking down this road? What's going through your parents' head? That, mate. You know what it's like these days, it only takes a car to slam on your kid's gone. How are you, Irish, mate? You good? Nice one, Paulie. Tessa, I never cross the road with my son until Green Man comes on. So he'll know that when older. That says a girl. Haven't you seen all the auto meetings in your city? Listen, do you want to spot people who are conditioned up to the eyelids? Just watch. You'll have no car on the road at all, and you'll have 4 or 5 people stood at the traffic light waiting for some computer to light up a green man to tell them, you can go. You could have went 10 minutes ago, soft. All you've got to do is learn to stop, look and listen. They're people who are conditioned to the hilt. Don't get your son like that, love. Trust me on that. Learn him on a busy road, take him to the curb and go, look son, now. Do it that way. Don't have him standing there, press the button, wait, it's flashing on yellow, now, green, your kid's bursting across, way. Right, fast forward, your kid's 26. You go shoot down the shop for me, you've got 3 sets of traffic lights on the way. Guess what your kid's doing? Pressing the button and waiting. There's not a fucking car in sight. It's taken him 10 minutes. It takes some wool to encourage him. You're best crossing over, you know, mate. There's not going to come across here. You understand what I'm saying, don't you? He's in a wheelchair though. Well, you have just wrote me off, haven't you, Tessa? You done that on purpose, didn't you, girl? What do you want me to say like that, lad? Bang a turbo on it. I don't know whether you're being true or devilish here, Tessa. Just to use that. If your kid's not in a wheelchair and you use that, you're one horrible piece of work, you mates. Innit, people? Paulie says my little lad's in a wheelchair, he's fly sheet. What's fly sheet, lad? Well, there's a few years in here with kids in wheelchairs, man. How's life there, lad? How's that? Must be difficult for you. And you come in here and you smile and you get on with it. This is what I'm saying. Yes, mate. Tez is saying he's got cerebral palsy. Well, you know Quintus. You know my son. He's got a uncle called Adam that's got that. I think it's Adam. So Quintus's mum's brother, I think it's a brother, has got that cerebral palsy. How's your son? I've got a clue, mate. Don't get to see him, do I? The man's a gangster lad, innit? So you know what gangster birds are like, don't you? My little lad's in a wheelchair, he flies across the road, doing way for nothing. He's got spinner bifida. Mad, innit? And then again, your kid's gonna grow up, innit, mate, with like difficulties because this government don't care, do they? Like, let me start putting a few ramps in places, making it more adequate for people. Good on you, Cesar. Good on yous. I don't, it's mad to think this, but I think parents from this generation, like the generation you're witnessing now, 19, 20, I think they wouldn't be able to look after kids like you can. These kids, if these are the kids who had one of these illnesses, mate, they wouldn't be able to hack it. It takes a lot of strength, doesn't it? Good on yous, mate. Good on yous, lad. And anyone else that's in a very... Because basically your life's on hold, isn't it, for your children's? I says I'm in a wheelchair, broke my neck 20 years ago, no cars, I just go. Everyone seems to be in a bit of piddle. That was nice.